today I will present you some thoughts and some ideas and some actually theoretical aspects as well of English language curriculum design through both the theoretical and applied linguistics perspective. And I'm sure all of you, most of you are English language teachers, already teach English, isn't it? Can I get your thumbs up if you have already taught or you are currently teaching English, or if not English, any other language? Thumbs up visually, Dina, okay. Thank you. Wissam, perfect, okay. So Dina as well. Any other participant who, okay. So I'm sure, as far as I know, even the other participants, I think Aya maybe has taught English or any or languages in general. But yeah, so I'm sure many of you are aware which some of the things I will be talking about, and I'm trying to figure out, just 1 second. I see someone in the chat. Okay, just 2 seconds. I'm trying to reposition them. Are you able to see only the slides, or is or my?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, perfect. Because I see other things as well, so I'm not sure what you are seeing. Perfect.
No, it's clear. Don't worry.
Here. Okay, brilliant. So, applied linguistics. I think you've already discussed a lot the topic with in the first session with Lorna. What was your takeaway from there? Like brief in simple words.
Applied linguistics is like, as we have discussed with Lorna earlier, is like applying the language to other aspects of life, and it's an interdisciplinary field. It's not only related to teaching, but to all aspects of life.
Perfect, absolutely. So indeed, so when then, so it's about, as you can see as well here, it's about relation between language, knowledge about language, and the decision making in regarding language through this knowledge that we have built up regarding language. So when we talk about a curriculum design, that I still have problems with them. 1 second. With some things with the screen here, the grid video. Okay, so I think this is better. Just 1 second. Technicalities, nothing more than that. But I'm sure, again, you're aware of that as well. Have you been teaching online in this past year, guys?
Definitely.
Yes.
And how beautiful it is when you're trying to figure out what's happening with your Zoom and with your screen, and
we always have plan B.
You always have plan B, yeah. Second computer, I have that too as well, indeed. It's ready there, already connected. So yeah, so then if we are looking at the curriculum design from an applied linguistics perspective, means that we are looking at it with the thought, with the idea that our curriculum should take into account certain real life problems, or as many as possible, let's say. So it's a problem-driven approach to designing English curriculum rather than a theory-driven. Nonetheless, in order to be able to, let's say, make a curriculum a problem solver, we need definitely first to understand how the curriculum itself, what it means, what it involves, how it works, to be then flexible. Hello, Hans. Hi, Hans. How are you? I'm Emara. Maybe you can help me which name and how to pronounce.
Pensée.
Pensée, beautiful, like French, pensée, like the flower, isn't it? Is it that? Wonderful. Okay, welcome. So, so then we're gonna look, I like to ask you a few things. So when you think about real world problems, as Yumna has described, applied linguistics and curriculum design, you may not, some of you may not know, I'm sure most of you will know what a curriculum design involves. But even if you don't, just think about what it may involve designing a language course. Can you think of some real world problems that curriculum designers should consider or aim to tackle when designing an English language curriculum? What do you think, guys?
I can give an example.
Yes, Yomna, thank you.
Yeah, so actually we were in included project, for example. We are now trying to find a solution for which curriculum would be suitable for the refugees and the immigrants in Europe. So, for example, from the discussions that we have highlighted so far, is that when we try to discuss the curriculum, or when we try to design a curriculum for a second language learner, especially if they are refugees or something, we have to avoid touching upon sensitive issues.
Yes.
For example, talking about their homelands, their the problems that they have encountered, and so on, political issues, and so on and so forth.
Yes, yes, yes. So yeah, so that is so at a curriculum design level, then what would that mean? Maybe the language, the materials that you use, maybe they should be a little bit, let's say, mindful of these aspects or something similar. Anyone else has, thank you, Yumna. Anyone else has an idea about this? Suggestions? What are the aspects? I mean, there's so many if you think from the from language. Yeah.
I can think, for example, of the needs of the learners. Why they are learning English? Is they are learning general English or for specific purposes? So this will guide me in the process of designing a curriculum. So yeah.
Yes.
Their
yes.
needs,
So
the
so their needs. Yes. Yes. Definitely, because you would have a learner-centered curriculum. Yes. Yes. And so why would you why do you, so is it only why they learn English in terms of what's the objective, or would you perhaps look as well as aspects such as what makes them unique, the way they learn, the way they what motivates them? So those, yeah,
this too, yes, of course, yeah.
Perfect, indeed, yeah. So basically, these are some of the aspects that the real life problems that we would consider in a curriculum design.
Also, Dr. Daniela, if you can allow me.
Yes, I with pleasure.
The faculty objectives, or the specialization of the faculty itself, it plays a role in creating the curriculum. For example, I teach in the faculty of communication and mass media. So we're thinking of creating a curriculum or provide the learners with materials that match what they specifically learn in the faculty. So something that's related to film analysis, I mean, to be oriented to what exactly they are doing. So they won't feel that they are learning something else. So they are going to deal with English as a tool, more of a subject.
Yes, okay, that's so basically you are talking about English medium instruction, so where English is the tool for learning a discipline as well, isn't it?
Yes.
Brilliant. Yeah, so that's another let's say applied linguistics application. Thank you very much, Norhan. That's a
thank you, doctor.
Is it Norhan or Norhan?
Yes, Norhan, yes.
I pronounce the H. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So yeah, but I have another question for you. Is curriculum and syllabus the same thing? Are curriculum and syllabus the same thing? From your knowledge so far, your experience, and even just from intuition? What do you think, guys? How do you approach them? Let's say it's not if they, the question is not whether they are or not the same thing. How do you approach them? So when you talk about, when you think about curriculum or syllabus, what do you think of?
I'm not sure, but I thought that they are somewhat similar or relevant. I mean, curriculum can be the big umbrella and syllabus something that's like subheading to it. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. Any other ideas? Thank you.
It's like what Rehan said, curriculum is the umbrella term, and it includes everything, the syllabus, the activities, the extra syllabus activities, and so on. I don't know, I'm actually guessing. So,
Is it Rim speaking, isn't it?
No, Wissam.
Usam, okay, sorry. It's very difficult to, Wissam, yes, now I was like, but I only saw Rim without the mic. I was like,
Yes, I was going to answer, and then Wissam, I'm waiting for Wissam.
Okay, so there was a reason
Chip in.
indeed, yeah. So it's a bit difficult when I don't see your faces. Yeah,
Okay.
so yeah, that can be so, but it can also be, you know, it depends on the educational system, and because they can also be used interchangeably. So for example, oops, sorry, I'm trying to do something and something else happened. So for example, in an American system in USA, the curriculum looks at the entire aspects of planning and so forth, but it is also used interchangeably with the syllabus itself. So the content that goes, what we teach, the selection of the language. Whereas in the British Islands, syllabus, it's basically the part of the activity, part of the curriculum. So it's literally just a specification or an ordering of course content, basically the what of the curriculum. So it kind of, it's both, let's say. Now, in this class, we will use both terms interchangeably, and if I will refer to one specific, I will mention that. But just the overall, let's say, rule or definition is that curriculum is concerned with planning, implementation, evaluation, management, administration of entire educational program. So let's say a course or, so it involves much more than the actual just language, let's say classes or material and so forth. Whereas syllabus is on the selection and grading of course content. Again, I assume these are, we don't need to be precise in them. We can work, you know, on our previous knowledge. Just sometimes maybe when we read something, this difference makes a difference, basically. So when we think of curriculum as design as a plan, then we think of these three main steps, basically. The syllabus design, and it's about what of language, what of English, what parts of English we teach, we select, and how we sequence it, and why do we select that specific aspects of the English language to teach. So, and generally syllabus design, the choices that we make there, I'm just opening another document in a second. So the choices that we make there depend on the assumptions that we take of language. I'd like to just go back a second to tell you that on the first slide here, in the notes, I have not been able to share the slides through Moodle because the file was too heavy, and I pasted it in the charts here. I will also try to reduce the size and upload it to Moodle because in the notes of the slides, there is a lot of content. So the first slide here, for example, oh, sorry, I'm going the wrong way. The first slide here, you have a whole content regarding the historical developments in language teaching methods, from the grammar translation method to the communicative approach. And you also have notes regarding models of language competence, which again are the basis of the decisions that we make in the syllabus. So the assumptions we make about the language. Do we see it as just as a language system, as a system of discrete elements, or do we see it as a whole, as a means of communication? We'll be talking about later, but just to let you know that in the notes of the slides, there will be a lot of content for you to explore if you want to know more, or if you don't know that already, because I'm sure, again, I know many of you are language teachers and you'd be familiar with these terms. So as I was saying, curriculum design as a plan involves syllabus design, and then involves methodology, basically, which clearly, as the term says, refers to the way we select, sequence, justify learning experiences. So again, the methodology, it's part of a whole. It's tightly connected with the syllabus design, with the content, and with those the base of our decision, the assumptions we make about language, the theories that we undertake when we decide what we will teach and how we will teach. And the third part is the assessment evaluation. So again, it's about instruments and procedures. However, I'm sure you are all familiar with communicative language teaching, okay, which is more an approach than a method. And the communicative language teaching, in the communicative language teaching, the distinction between syllabus design, so the way we select what we teach from the respective language, and methodology, how we will teach it, what kind of activities, what kind of approaches, how do we sequence these activities and so forth. All this becomes less, let's say, straightforward to separate, because in order to specify both content, so why do we want to learn, and the methodology, then as well as the assessment, but a little bit less, let's say, assessment if we see it as a constructive assessment. So then those things, these two aspects, the content and how they are interconnected. So that's why we tend to use the term curriculum as an interchangeable term between syllabus and curriculum. So we don't really distinguish that clear between the content and the methodology, let's say, because we take a more, let's say, broad approach to curriculum, and we look at the whole, the three aspects of the design at the same time, more or less, although obviously we need to define them separately in order to again make good decisions. So syllabus design as a whole, it's a plan, and it involves a decision-making process. So when we think of that, it's a plan. I make a plan from A, B, C, D, and provides a long-term plan for intended learning outcomes and teaching methodologies. There are quite a lot of things involved here. And I have a question. Has any of you, first of all, have you ever developed a curriculum for a course you have taught? It doesn't necessarily need to be English in general. Even if you delivered private lessons or one-on-one lessons.
Yes, I did that. And it was in Linguistics 1. Linguistics 1 and
Linguistics.
Linguistics 3, yes, yeah. For the
Okay,
introduction
so
to linguistics and introduction to semantics.
okay, so exactly. So this is in a language curriculum. Someone else maybe?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Yumna, yeah?
Somehow actually because it's English linguistics and their first language is Arabic.
Yeah, but you would include theory and other aspects. Yes, that's true. So you would teach to students who learn linguistics, not to students who learn English, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, but it's still relevant. You still have to go to the process of, it's very relevant to the process of deciding the content, the methodology, and the way you assess it. I would like to know.
Yes, everything was brand new actually.
Yeah, and it seems easy, but it's not, isn't it? That the construction of a curriculum, it's really a complex matter, but still, you know, if done properly, it can be a very, very, very useful way. But someone else, has anyone developed a language curriculum?
For me, I did. It's for phonetics. We have here in the British University, we have center. So in the
Okay.
education center, I was asked to design a curriculum for phonetics 1 and phonetics 2 for 2 levels.
Okay.
And we targeted, or we still target the, we have different ages.
Okay.
So we have it for teachers, we have it for like young learners as well. So it was, yeah, we had to do it, this creation of the phonetics syllabus.
And how did you feel about it? How did the process of creating?
It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, but we, as you think we said, Doctor, we had to go from the beginning. Like we have to plan. We have to think of the topics. We have to take into consideration the first language interference, like what kind of problems so Arabic language speakers we have. So we had to start with this first. So learners will feel like, okay, we are learning not only English, but we are trying to figure out why we have problem with the pronunciation of this word or that word. So we started from the problem and then we created the. Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. Very good, very good. So, but how did you determine the problem? By making, let's say, misanalysis or something like that, isn't it? By understanding.
Honestly, it's more concerned with observation. Like since we teach in the university, we have prep year students, so we try to find throughout the semester, throughout the year, what kind of problems in pronunciation they have.
Yeah.
Then I had to move this experience to the center director and tell her, okay, this is what I found throughout this year. And accordingly, she asked me to create the curriculum in accordance with the problem, or like finding the solution to this problem. Yes,
exactly.
Yeah,
that is called, and it's called job analysis. And it's part, indeed, it's a form of performing. Sorry, that's my phone, my computer. It's a form of performing needs analysis. Just allow me 2 seconds. So yeah, that's true. And thank you for sharing that, Nora. Very, very useful to learn. And
thank you.
And it's true. You can. We can, so curriculum design and development implementation can be a very complex process. Can be developed, performed, let's say upon request, can be developed as well, can be continuously redeveloped as well, which is very important, redesign in base of the information that we see. So a curriculum design, especially a learner-centered curriculum, learner-centered in language learning and teaching refers to, we will see in the following slides, it refers to a curriculum that takes the learner at the center and departs from the learner needs. What does the learner need? So a curriculum, however, this generally applies nowadays to almost all types of curriculum design types, unless you follow a prescriptive grammar syllabus where you teach the distinct elements of the language without any specific, let's say, aim, basically. So curriculum design involves needs analysis. When we establish in different ways through interviews with the students, through a job analysis of the institution or of the problem, as Norhan has mentioned earlier, through discourse analysis, if we're talking about English for specific purposes. And there are multiple other ways. Now this, I would have loved to add that as well into the course, but the time is limited, so I'm just gonna surf through it. So the elements are needs analysis, what is needed, the objectives from the needs analysis. Once we have, informed resources about what the problem is, where we want the learner to be or where they want to be, then from that information, along with other that like regarding the learner's background and so many others, we define the learning objectives, what is to be achieved. In base of the learning objectives defined, okay, then we select the syllabus, what is to be taught. So it's, if it's in English for academic purposes, I perform a needs analysis of the student, establish at what level they are, objective needs, also at how they perceive their knowledge, subjective needs, but also what kind of language they need. So let's say we have EAP, English for academic purposes, for scientific purposes, or for so, and then I perform a discourse analysis. I select the type of English that is needed for that specific environment. In that case, I decide the methodology, how it is taught, what better approach. Is it a task-based? Do I better for this type of objectives that I have for the learners? Is it maybe an spoken, an interaction-based activity program that suits better? So again, and all that is informed both theoretically, practically, but also through needs analysis. And the following is assessment. What is tested and how? How do I select? So a language test obviously may include maybe 10 items or maybe an assignment. How do we decide, in base of what do I decide if I choose a quick question and multiple questions, question answer test, or why do I use an essay? Why do I use an authentic task such as performing a role play as formal assessment? Okay, so when I decide that, again, it's informed, it's the whole cycle. And once I perform the assessment, I also want to evaluate, okay, how successful was that?
Daniela, can I ask a question here,
Yes,
if you don't mind?
Yes.
So
absolutely.
the needs analysis, because actually I did the needs analysis at the beginning of the term in the form of a survey for my students. So is it possible like to make it like at the beginning of the term? Will it be more accurate to be at the beginning of the term in order to decide which curriculum are you going to design? Or is it preferable to be before the term begins?
Actually, needs analysis, the ideal form of performing needs analysis is like a continuous cycle. Ideally, you perform needs analysis before the start, during the course, after the course, and you continue basically. So you can perform a needs analysis before designing. You should ideally, not always is possible, but you can perform needs analysis through either activities, not necessarily only through a survey. You can perform needs analysis through an activity, through there are multiple ways of performing. And again, I will add some information about that in the slides when I upload them to Moodle, so you can have extra information. But again, needs analysis ideally should be performed before, during, and after, and ideally should not stop there. It should continue all the time. So every form of essay that we receive, it's a form of needs analysis. You should assess whether the language objectives have been reached or not. Maybe at the end of the course, you want to see through a statistical analysis how many of the students have reached the cutoff point and how many have reached the let's say what you see as the top point. And in that, you then analyze the success rate. You can do that both by doing qualitative needs analysis, also quantitative needs analysis. Again, there are multiple forms. And that's why when we say the assessment here at the end, assessment, that's a good way in which you can incorporate needs analysis. Evaluation, how successful the course was, again, that's a form of analysis, because the evaluation that you make at the end in different forms, you then inform in the redesign. So you don't need to redesign completely, but you can touch the curriculum here and there and readapt it for the new experience. I hope that answered the question. So I'm curious.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome. Now I am curious. When you are teaching, how much do you know about the curriculum and from whom? How many of the elements of the curriculum cycle were considered in the curriculum and how? Okay, so needs analysis, needs, objectives, syllabus, methodology, assessment, evaluation. For your joy of life, I'm going to put you in little groups. Let's see. What do you think? Are you happy with that, or you want to? Because I would like all of you to perhaps engage in this reflection.
Yeah, I guess we are a very small group already.
Yeah, okay, so let's see. Maybe I can try and ask someone so you can hear some. Dina, hi Dina. Dina, well, we have a few Dinas. Yeah, go Dina, go. I was looking at Dina.
Both Dinas, okay.
No, but stay here, because you.
I'm here.
So when you are teaching, how much do you know about the curriculum and from whom? I'd like to know and share with us. And unless you develop it yourself, you may be developing yourself. You may have developed yourself. So, and if you have developed yourself, how many of these elements of the curriculum cycle were considered and how?
Is it Dina me or Dina, the other Dina?
I'm going to hold you, Dina, you, because you are here with me. And then I'm going to talk with Dina as well. Dina Abuzet. I hope I'm pronouncing correctly.
Okay, so when it comes to teaching, answering the first question, because I do develop the curriculum myself, so I do a lot of readings. And to be honest, one of the things that supported me before was when we came to Ireland last time, I've actually worked with what I took in the past 2 years. I've used them as guidelines to how to build my curriculum, and I do my best, because I usually teach things that are based on methodology courses. So I need to make things as practical as possible, because I do believe that teaching is more practical than theoretical. So they need to, stand more than just listen.
Engage more,
yes. Yeah. So based on this, I start building my content, and at the same time, how I'm going to assess them later. And even my questions, where in the exams, they're more practical than just based on pure theoretical questions.
Maybe because yourself, your assumption about the thing you're teaching, again, assumption doesn't mean that I think, I believe, or it means that, but in a curriculum development or design reality, it means I take this theory about the language. I take this theory about sociolinguistics or about that and that. And in base that, my assumption of language is this, my assumption of this, whatever it's that. Therefore, I will develop in base of that. So you are, as far as I understand from what you just said, is that you take a practical approach because you have a practical understanding and conceptualization of what you are teaching yourself. Because the theory that you're using, it's that, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's a starting point. Good. And what and how many of these elements of the curriculum cycle were you considered, and how?
I think everything. I think they're like core elements. I can't just.
What about the needs? What about the needs? Sorry. What about the needs? Were you performing a needs analysis? Learners, or was it a institution? Was it a top-down? Okay, you are teaching social linguistics or whatever. What were you teaching? So.
Well, I was talking about a course, audio visual aids in teaching.
Okay.
So I felt that they actually based on what is happening around us, I need them to be well prepared and to adapt quicker to the rapid changes that is happening. Okay.
So you performed an analysis maybe of the whatever the webs or the.
Again, it's all influenced by the practical factors around me. I have to adapt.
Okay, very good, because in your context, it's you and the material and the students, but you do have another side, which is the institution in which you work, that tells you this is the course that needs to be taught, and maybe it gives you the freedom to choose what exactly to teach in that. Okay, so that's good. That's good because you have that freedom. There can be situations in which curriculum are designed in base of specific elements, specific learning outcomes. So you basically go backgrounds. I was trying to find out that if you were starting from the end to the going backwards, so from what are the end learning outcomes, and then you design everything else. And who decides which are the learning outcomes? Is it you, because you're being given the freedom to decide, or is it an institution that decides, I want these learners to be A2 by the end, and I conceptualize language as formed of these 4 skills and communicative. So then you have several parameters. So when you design backwards, you have to follow those parameters, whereas you seem to have a lot of more freedom, isn't it? That's good.
Yes, but at the same time, I still go to someone who's more, of course, a senior to have their approval that I'm not ruining my students at the end.
Very good. I'm sure you're doing a great job. I'm gonna go to the next slide, and thank you, Dina, for your contribution. And maybe I'm gonna go to Dina later, just because, as we said, we would like to finish those 30 minutes earlier for you guys. So those were just a few questions to make you reflect on these aspects of the curriculum. So in terms of language learning, in terms of English language, curriculum design has become increasingly more learner-centered, especially with the advent of English for specific purposes in the 1960s. And from there onwards, this concept of having the learner at the center in English language learning and teaching, but also in all language learning, has grew into bigger, let's say, has grew into a more established approach to language teaching. Council of Europe was had a pivotal role into establishing this through its common framework for language learning and teaching. And I know you've engaged already with it. And it departed from their understanding, the conceptualization that each other language learner has a unique set of communication needs. So from their own words, the idea of developing a curriculum, a language curriculum based on that holds the learner at the center grew into a more, let's say, accepted and considered as relevant method of approaching curriculum design. There are multiple other ways to do that, but we're going to focus a little bit in the learner-centered approach. So, but another note, this approach as well, you may be already aware again, departs in educational psychology, departs from constructivist theories of learning, whereby learners learn by doing. By learners, it is considered that people make meaning on their own, so they have to engage with what they need to learn through their own being. So the repetitions, the various previous approach have gradually become a little bit less, let's say, suitable for a globalized competitive world. So in which the individual person seeks a lot of individual, let's say, achievements through their own learning and understanding. So again, that's the learner-centered curriculum. And so the learner-centeredness and the learner-centered curriculum, it's a bit in between what is an institution-centered curriculum, which generally, when you design the content that you want to teach, that is taught in an institution-centered, there's little, if no reference to the learner needs. So basically, in a certain way, what you were telling us, Dina, although that's not a language module, that's a discipline module. It's a bit different. It's a bit more discipline design. Whereas a language is a little bit more, let's say, depending as well of the purpose, motivation. It's because languages are connected to the individual people, not only just as a subject, but as a means of communication, of identity, and so forth. It's a bit different. So when we talk about language and language needs, there are multiple elements that needs to be considered in there. Why do we need to know? What motivates you? How good you want to be? What's your ideal self as an English language speaker? So there's a very strong distinction between an institution-centered English course, curriculum design, and learner-centered. Autonomy, so learner-centeredness, it's in between because it involves the learner. However, the expert knowledge of the teacher is, so it's a collaboration more than the autonomy focused, where the learner has, we all know, a quite, let's say, quite important role, if not the role, in select, modificate, adapt content and process. So they decide what they want to do each day, basically, in autonomy focused classroom. In the notes of the first slides, there will be links with videos to demonstrations, YouTube videos for the different ways of approaching language teaching, including focused, autonomy focused classroom. So if you like to watch a 20 minutes video of how, I think Diane Larson Freeman teaches in autonomy, Lemmy Dunn and David Little, how they teach an autonomy focused classroom, that will be especially for those who have not taught languages until now. And so learner-centeredness, it's in between these two approaches. And the key to learner-centeredness is to perform a needs analysis before deciding the content and everything. And that's the collaboration, the first collaboration that you have with the learner, where you ask the learner, where you elicit knowledge and needs from the learner in order to then inform your decisions in curriculum design through these learners' needs. So needs analysis as a whole refers to the collection, processes, and the use of information from and about learners, okay? And as I said, the relation between needs and choices, we need to make choices for them. And they can be objective, which refers to trying to make it in just a few words, refers to, so probably I'll give you an example which is better. Objective needs where you establish the level, the current knowledge of the person regarding the language through maybe eliciting a written text, and then you analyze that text. Also by asking them their background, that is as well part of the objective needs, because you have factual information, either regarding language or their own personality. And the subjective needs instead it's basically whatever information you want to collect, language-wise or personality-wise or individual differences, they are through the perception of the learner. So, and to this I have a little problem, let's say, so far. Not problem, but more a heads up that Berwick in 1989, already then he mentions, and he says that us, that we develop curriculum designers, and we develop with the curriculum, we also, maybe if we have the freedom to do it, we also choose or develop the materials. And even if we don't develop the materials, we choose if we use a handbook, we choose if we use authentic materials that we get from the internet. In any way, the materials that have been developed, that are developed specifically for English language learning and teaching, or for language learning and teaching in general, are developed by people. And the same way we impose meaning through our choices. Although we structure them, we still make choices, okay? The same way the people who develop the materials, they bring their beliefs, their position, their attitudes towards language learning and teaching. Those assumptions, let's say, at the beginning that we were mentioning. And they sometimes translate into positions about what the learner needs. So sometimes they can be, so sometimes we may not perceive correctly what the actual needs of the learners are, because we are as well seeing those needs through our own beliefs and positions and so forth. And that impacts in the syllabus design, syllabus curriculum design. And this is one very important aspect that needs to be, that's why it's always good to, when we develop a curriculum, to consult multiple sources and possibly to develop as a team with various expertise in order to provide as many views as possible. But generally, when we talk about English language learning and teaching, needs assessment are, it's common sense of the teachers, what they perceive in the class, and because sometimes the theory may not connect with the actual facts in the class. However, there's a downside. The other side of the coin is that the teacher may sometimes be tired, may not see things, or so again, there's a downside to both things. So, question for you: in your experience, do most English language courses meet the needs of the target learner group needs? You may want to focus on maybe something, that a course that you know or that you've taken yourself in a previous period, and reflect on that. And which needs analysis factors do you think have a significant role in the second English language learning success and why. So we said that needs analysis refers to the skills, to the knowledge, but also to multiple other factors such as personality and so forth. So let's see, who do I ask, or who wants to share first of all? This is a more like Dina. Wonderful, thank you. Hi, Dina.
Hi, Daniela.
Wonderful. So in your experience, do English language courses meet the needs of the learners, or in general, or your own experience?
Okay. Based on my experience, I'm an English language teacher. I've been teaching English in
Okay, so you are
private schools and language centers. Okay. So most learners, they feel the need to just communicate, practicing all the time, more than writing, more than learning grammar or vocabulary. So all the time they just asked me to practice, to provide some conversations. They feel the lack that the course doesn't include that much of real situations or conversation topics, just to depend on just in their real life situations, especially the multinational companies or multinational, I mean, institutions that require them a higher level of the English. So that's what they lack in course.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you as a teacher, you think that sometimes the course is not necessarily what you're teaching.
Yeah, it's a thing necessary to have.
They don't necessarily
most of the
meet
courses I get to see, or I get so most of the courses that I get to see, they just focus on theoretical, not that theoretical, but I mean
grammar or
memorization, much on information, vocabulary, grammatical rules, stuff like that. But you know that the Egyptian learners lack the
active,
the efficiency, the performance, they
that's
should
very
learn
good. That's
how
very
to
good.
pronounce.
Yeah,
you know,
I must say from my experience
they
with,
lack
with the Egyptian people from the selling, I was I realized that it's a beautiful thing. Egyptians, to talk, you like to engage, you like to experience what you're doing.
Yes.
In my opinion, way to do things, because that enables you to actually become owner of what you're learning or what you're doing.
Yes.
In your opinion, Dina, which need analysis factors do you think may have a significant role? So we said needs analysis looking at the knowledge, the skills, but also personality. Which one do you think?
Well, curricula designers know about how to design or set a course, but at the same time, you still have to make a survey or ask the learners themselves, because they are the ones who are exposed. They are the ones who get benefit from that. So this, I need just to put the personality or the different educational backgrounds into consideration setting a course. So might conduct a and you get you get some people, ask them about their needs based on personality, identity, I mean educational and a work background. You will get to see many answers and different needs. People differ some way.
Thank you, Dina. That's
okay. I hope I was brief.
You know, you were.
I hope I was.
No one needs to be brave, but no. I would again. I have to deliver a content. I prefer to construct the content with you guys. That's why I engage as much as possible. Thank you, Dina.
Thank you very much, Daniela.
Any other opinions or experiences, or
Yes. Hi. This is Wissam here.
Wissam, hi.
Yeah.
I'm like looking at which one
Yeah.
which mic comes on to realize is speaking. Yes, so
Yeah, it's okay. So I just want to comment on the part that I'm working in a university, so I am compelled to use a certain curriculum and certain
yes,
things. So I don't have the freedom to conduct a needs analysis or something. So maybe this can be done in the methodology, but even in that, because I'm an assistant lecturer, I'm not
you
an
cannot
independent
modify.
lecturer. I'm always, yeah, so I cannot fully decide, but I can work in the space that I have to do so. So I just wanted to comment that in institutionalized or the institutions that teach English, it's a little bit hard.
Yeah,
And for example,
and
when
this
it's
is
a course, a private course or something, so
yeah,
we are
that's
more tied in the institutions. So yeah,
that's absolutely true, and it's part of it's part of it's a reality across most of institutions and situations, and increasingly through in language learning and teaching, it becomes especially those institutions who take maybe the Common European Framework of Reference as curriculum design departing, let's say, structure. Those will be able then to construct this cycle.
yes,
but
exactly.
but still it is very important. You are the teacher, you are in the place. So we will see in the following slides that the main consideration, and we can say apply linguistic consideration, but it's a real consideration, is that there needs to be communication. So the various proposals for English language curriculum in the 21st century world, globalized movement, where the means are very different, is that there should be a communication, because even though you can be an extremely good curriculum designer and you can inform yourself with solid theories of language learning and teaching, however, it's the teacher on site who engages to the learner and to the classroom. And because each learning environment is different, each learning environment has different dynamics, that syllabus, that curriculum needs to be slightly adapted to every single, if not totally, but at least slightly adapted to the learning environment. And this is a brilliant contribution, Weston. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's very relevant to what we're saying. I'm going to go a bit further. So research has shown now this is an older done in 2005, but it's an established, let's say, study. There are multiple others following this one who have shown that in language learning individual differences have been found as the most consistent predictors of second language learning success. And this is pretty important, because we may think that our syllabus is the best, our activities are the best, and they may be actually the best. However, what we design in interaction with the language learner who is made of his own person, may not produce the same result, and indeed does not produce the same result with different learners. Have you wondered yourself why sometimes some of your students, although you do the same, you commit in the same way towards the entire class, some students engage and comprehend and assimilate and what you teach in such a brilliant way or fast, and some others no, and you can see they're working, but still it's much harder. So again, research has found that individual differences such as language aptitude, motivation, learning style, strategies, anxiety, identity, and so forth, they are the ones that dictate the way the learner interacts with what we deliver. And they can make, learning styles, preferences, indeed, exactly. I'm just seeing a comment. So so a curriculum design, a learner-centered curriculum design should try to take into account individual differences, and these differences can be these aspects of the learner can be learned. You can source this information in a direct way through concrete interaction with the learner, to interviews and so forth. Also in an indirect way by looking at how they perform, observations and so forth. So and those through the cycle of this analysis, which starts let's say in the beginning, middle and the end, and continues through those stages in which you redesign this learner-centered curriculum, you can somehow include these various aspects. I'm saying somehow, but concretely, let's say. So that's another aspect important to curriculum design I wanted to mention here, though it's not, my slides don't go any further, just 1 second. Now, we already mentioned this question at the beginning, but so if you think applied linguistics refer to real life, real world problems, what kind of problems do you think a curriculum should include? Why and how? So, oops, sorry, 1 second. I'm gonna go this way. So we mentioned earlier the needs of the learner. I would like you to think of the language. So beyond that, what are the, so let's think of English. English, the world of the language, the international language, the lingua franca, so what are the real life problems? So applied linguistic concepts relate to English language learning and use, mainly use in this case, may need to be included or are included from your experience.
I guess that it could be accents, and that it's not a taboo to use to have mother tongue interference and while you are pronouncing English or something like that, because this is a great issue. For example, here in Egypt, and I guess it's again a big problem in more than one area all over the world.
Yes. So accents, forms of English, something very good, Yumna, and something that I would like to add, and you will see, and from the couple of examples I gave you at the end, but there are multiple other proposals of how curriculum should be in this new, like this changing dynamic world. And it's true, accents are important, but if you establish within this analysis that accents are important for that learner, for those learners, you may be in a context where maybe the learner's aim is not the accent, is the communication. But yes, the form of the language as well. But again, if it's a top-down decided curriculum, then this is the problem. This is how you need to tackle. If it's a learner-centered curriculum, which is what I'm introducing you to in this case, it's asking the learner, finding through job analysis, finding through various tools, and including those. And it's increasingly more relevant. And that's exactly as you mentioned.
Okay, add something,
Dina?
Daniela.
Yeah.
To the question of the real problems that should be added to the. Well, based on my experience, I've been working as
Thank you. That's what
telecommunication company in LA. I mean, that's I've been exposed to the American culture, the American people. So part of the things that should be added to the real curriculum for teaching English as a language is the culture specific topics. I mean, when you get to understand the culture of the people you're dealing with, it becomes easy, much easier for you and for them.
Exactly. Yeah, that's another brilliant contribution.
Yes,
Dina,
can I add something? A
yes,
very quick
please,
one.
Wessam. There's no problem.
Thank you. It builds on what they were both saying. I think one of the real problems we have here in Egypt is language attitudes, because people think of right and wrong forms of English. They want to learn a specific accent. So I think we should integrate the idea of global Englishes. I still remember that from the past exciting course from your module. Yes, it was very enlightening for me, because we have to teach them that there are varieties of English. There is no right or wrong. We have to focus on communication. And I think this is the most challenging problem here in Egypt. The language attitudes. They want to learn a specific variety of English. They judge people on how they talk and so on. So introducing the idea of global Englishes in curriculum, even if you're teaching any other, not specifically general English, I think it's useful, and it changes the mentality of the teacher, and of course of the students, if they are aware of the status of English now. So
yeah. Thank you. That's very important contribution.
Okay, Daniela, please. Can I just something to what Wissam said about language attitudes? So see, or when we get to learn about culture and attitude, we have to learn about manners, politeness, and all this stuff. So I would recall a very example. I was in the first semester, first year in college. I had a teacher from America. So when I get to address her, I just ordered her without saying please. And the something is that
it's difficult when you're not
it's rude. It's some rude. So I just want to tell you that I started using English without knowing about manners, the attitude that I should follow, and all.
Okay.
I learned that later on.
Yes.
And the issue is that she was understandable and just
it's interesting,
me,
isn't it? Like culturally specific
to use the language.
Yeah.
How the manner. Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you.
No problem. That's absolutely brilliant, and it is relevant. These are real life problems, real life matters. Now I'm gonna. So here, there are different types of syllabus and curriculum. We only talk about English language learning and teaching, or language in general, but second language or foreign language. But here we're talking about English language learning and teaching. And they are in base of the aim. What's the aim? Like this distinction. There's a lot of content for you. It's very, very detailed information regarding the individual syllabi in the notes of the slides. That you can access afterwards. It's a lot of content there, so I'm not going to stay on this. But just to let you know, the product-oriented, and which can be grammatical or structural, functional, notional. Again, these are related to the teaching methods and and even so, like the Chinese, the syllabus, teaching methods. And backwards is the beginning is the assumption we take about the language. So is language a system of distinct parts of a linguistic system? We take a grammatical or structural approach. Is language a matter of knowing language, a matter of knowing how to do specific things, functions, or knowing how to go to the doctor, or so specific notions, okay? Because the first one is about learning past tense, present, future, present, whatever, like various grammatical forms. The function notion refers, which is product oriented. So what's the end? It's the product. My end of that syllabus is I want them to get this product. The process, task-based syllabus instead, it's a process-oriented design, curriculum design, because it's not the final product that interests, it's the during, it's the actually not, this is not what I was saying. I want to say is that I believe that the assumption about the language learning in a process or task-based syllabus is that the action, the activity produces learning. Whereas in the previous two, it's the language, the content that, in my opinion, in the assumption of the curriculum designer, produces learning, okay? But again, a distinction that only if you are particularly interested in language curriculum design can look deeper there. What I wanted to get was, in these last minutes, is to some applied linguistic, some considerations in base of the latest research in applied linguistics, in language learning and teaching, and in some proposal or even just some common sense considerations. So increasingly, language learning has been seen as a sum of processes which hold the classroom at the center and develop an above and below scales. So this means that language learning is seen as not as an isolated process or phenomena. It's in connection, as I said, with what's around us. So, and each classroom, each context for which we as curriculum designer design a language, a course, each of those classrooms or learning contexts are actually situated in context and cultures. So the sample you were given, and those aspects related to context and cultures impact both positively and negatively, in that the choices that we make should depend sometimes, and sometimes should depend. So this is the research, and the overall thought in this regard is that, given that language learning is seen in that manner, language learning has been shown through research that it doesn't occur in isolation, but it occurs in a certain context. And one consideration is, for curriculum designer, is to have learning experiences materials that take into consideration the social and cultural capital of the learners, okay? And this is something proposed by many researchers, including Marseille and Dorney. Another assumption, another consideration is that, again, as you've seen, designing a curriculum, the parting point, if it's learner-centered, it's the language needs. If it's not learner-centered, let's say, it's the assumption, if it's institution-centered, it's the assumption that we take about language, what we decide, okay? And there are many different models to define language competence and language acquisition, how it occurs. However, research has shown lately, again, that language learning and acquiring language competencies, English language competencies, it's not a linear phenomenon. It's a non-linear, and it emerges in interaction with the social, cultural, historical context. So the suggestion of some researchers increasingly is that probably a curriculum design that wants to consider the research and the latest understanding of these processes, including the reality of living in the world in which we live, and for the role that English has in this world, probably that curriculum design should depart, may need to depart from the understanding that language competence in English doesn't depart from a monolingual model, but from a multilingual and multicultural framework, given that the actual learning occurs in that manner, according to such research so far, let's say. In relation to this, and in Mercer and Dornay, again, in one of their latest research and book, they mention evidence from different studies. For example, the one mentioned there, it's from Sweden, where there is a growing separation between understandings of English as free time activities and English in the school. And it has been shown that in this research, as in others, that there's the assimilation process and the learning, it's very different, and the success rate is very different between the two. So then their suggestion is that if we want as curriculum designers to really, make the most to ensure that our curriculum tackles real life problems or real life realities of real world situations, maybe ideally our curriculum should connect English language learning that happens in class to the life beyond the classroom. Okay, and to include those resources available out there that learners would normally be and are engaged on a daily basis in their free time activities, as they call them, lingua emotiva. And also they suggest that probably curriculum designers and in general language teaching should recognize and factor in their design process that second languages have social cultural status, social cultural capital, and they show how in the study, I recommend this, they show how promoting language-related values through relevant activities not only enhances learning, but also the engagement with the actual curriculum and shapes it as well. I'm almost there, but we can stop if you can stop me anytime. So I think it's the conclusion. The idea is that what they say is that so curriculum design should not be separated. It's not a conclusion actually. It's not separated. Curriculum is not separated from the learner. Therefore, the language engagement class is indeed connected to attitudes and beliefs from the many different factors. And as curriculum designer, we should take into account that when designing our learning experiences, which is the methodology, the content that we decide to teach, how do we relate it to real life, and so forth. So this is what they say. They say that materials writers, so us designers, and maybe book designers, handbooks designers, those handbooks that we use in our English language teaching, their activity, so those who design, it's shaped by their own individual intentionality. And that, and a failure to really understand and reflect this in shaping, to reflect on these shaping influences. So language designers, whether they're institutional or the smaller, need to understand that the moment you design something, we, whether we want or not, we shape influences. The difference between having a hidden curriculum, which even the name sound is a bit, and between having a curriculum which is, let's say, how it should be, is reflecting and being transparent about these influences. And this is what is called the specificities of a curriculum, the blueprint, when you specifically detail at the beginning of the curriculum. This curriculum has been designed with, or these materials have been selected with this view of language in mind. This is the theory, this is the approach, this is that, and that creates transparency. And the learners ought to be involved. Another real life problem is that you guys were mentioning, and where Sam was mentioning as well, which English. We know that English now is not, due to the many exogenous forces that have impacted on English throughout the time, there's a huge variation from the normal standards. However, only a few are considered as corrected. But this goes into contrast with the learner needs, basically, should one do it, which is what learner-centered would be, the curriculum would be based on, is the fact that majority of speakers nowadays are L2, and that although indeed a preference is always, it's still maintained for the two main standards, how they're called, increasingly intelligibility is seen as priority. And again, social and multilingual turn, we know, probably we all know, have increasingly demonstrated research that language learning, it's embedded within multilingual process. Language acquisition, it's embedded in multilingual process as opposed to monolingual. So again, ignoring these aspects when designing a curriculum may not correspond to what a learner-centered curriculum means. So then we need to, several researchers expressed their opinions in this regard, saying that all these things have implication for the way we design our curriculum, from the language learning from and teachers, and that probably the linguistic, cultural, functional diversity associated with English challenges some of the fundamental assumptions of English language teaching, and it requires we revisit our pedagogical practices. I think we are at the 30 minutes. These are the last two things, and I'm going to fly through them because we said 30 minutes earlier and should be like that. So one proposal to this, the curriculum design in English language teaching is to consider which English and increase exposure. Doesn't mean that we teach a specific standard or a specific English, but we increase exposure and make aware the learners of, this is what they suggest, Colin Rose and many others along them. An English language curriculum, they as well propose, should nowadays emphasize respect for multilingualism, plurilingualism, raise awareness of the different languages, and consider better the hiring practices, give value to the knowledge experience more than to the nativeness aspect. The second approach is the one as well that you may have read in the article I uploaded in Moodle, refers to, it's a social contextual approach, which says that a curriculum, which kind of in a certain way reinforces what we've talked during this class. The curriculum is shaped by multiple contexts, or an ideal curriculum should be shaped by the multiple contexts in which the learning happens. Okay, but it should be connected with the classroom, where it's the classroom that actually shapes what is possible in the curriculum. And as well, they are suggesting that, Graves suggests that, and it's a whole number of other researchers suggest that teacher involvement is critical, but teacher should not be alone in this endeavor because it's a lot. It should be collaboration and responsiveness. If these aspects are done, then a curriculum will be really, truly like learner-centered, ideal for the learners, according to their opinion. And then, yeah, so that's the main thing. I'm just reading what so to conclude, basically there are a number of factors, roles, people, situations involved in designing curriculum for English language learning and teaching. And given the role of the language itself, it is paramount to consider as many real life, real world aspects when we develop a English language curriculum or a course. And with that, I would like to see your ideas on how do you see, to hear your ideas on how do you see the future of English curriculum in a globalized post-COVID language education. Hello, Dina, I see your lovely face. I would have loved to see all of you, but I understand the online manner is a bit difficult. So how do you see the future of English curriculum? May I ask maybe someone I've not heard during the day, during these 2 hours, maybe Panse? I've heard a little bit, Panse, I heard your voice earlier, but Panse, what do you think? How do you see the curriculum for them in the future world? Current and future. Maybe she's not with us at the moment. Any ideas, guys? How will the future of English curriculum looks like? How do you see it? And I would like to actually make it more concrete. How do you see it in Egypt, let's say? Wissam, do you have any suggestions? Yeah,
yes,
Maureen as well.
Yes,
Whoever.
hi, Daniel.
Okay, Reem, go ahead. It's okay.
Thank you, Sam. I think it needs to tackle the problem that people faced during COVID-19, so that it could be task-based sort of learning, so that they make tasks, they make charts, they make
hands-on basically
projects. Yeah. So by which they will learn a lot and grasp a lot of ideas together, learning together, and produce also, whether by writing or by speaking. So this is our weak point, the production skills, the productive skills.
Okay.
So the problem lies in Egypt in the productive skills, because students learn at least 12 years of English. However, when they're very good at listening to their teachers and reading from books, however, they do not know how to present. They don't have the skills. The majority, they don't have the skill. So when it comes to writing or speaking, here comes the difficulty, especially when we see in the IELTS exam.
So you would see the English curriculum more practical, more hands-on, more based on authentic interaction with real life tasks and learning.
Which will fulfill by the end the students' need.
Yes, exactly, indeed. Yeah, sounds a good future. Thank you, Reem.
Thank you.
Fingers crossed it's gonna happen. I would like to hear maybe Amani. Amani.
Yes.
What do you think? How do you see the future? Do you see the rose, pink, black?
It will be good. I guess yes. It will be different from before.
Yeah.
But actually, I can't imagine the future.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because some things are very established, and it takes a lot of time to engage into change, isn't it? Maybe I can ask Oman or Mama. Maybe she's Mama. What do you think? Maybe the connection is not okay. So I would say,
Daniela, can I add?
Yes. I don't know.
Okay. Dina Abu Zaid.
Okay, Dina. Okay, wonderful. Yes.
Okay. So I would really suggest start from the beginning. We start training those curricular designers who set the courses to students,
Exactly.
to little pupils. Last year, during the academic year, the Ministry of Education asked us to just conduct some researches for end of the year examination instead of having final exams due to
Okay.
the
COVID
situation.
situation, yeah.
Yeah, so the problem was students were not able to conduct any of the research.
Yeah.
They just went to centers, asked them conduct a research instead of me. Okay, so
difficult, yeah.
students, yeah, it's difficult for the research.
So
They lack the critical thinking
yeah.
point. Okay, so which is something that should have from the
Okay.
very beginning in their courses.
Yes, yes, yes.
So we just push them. We just want to push
yeah.
to critically think about any of the
Yeah.
topics during the learning processes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
To
So
avoid
it
any of
seems to
the
me
situations that might happen
yeah.
across
So
the globe.
it seems to me that you like what you are suggesting. It's communication and early
Critical thinking.
Communication become for the end, or the service end, which is the student, and the beginning, basically, which is a designer. It.
Yeah.
The whole
Yeah.
chain should communicate more because it's maybe
Yeah,
sometimes some unreal choices. Some choices may made without concrete, realistic.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I'm giving you some other options. The final examination instead of memorization and putting the questions, and that's it. Okay.
Okay. So maybe
just to focus upon training critical thinking and thank you very much.
Thank you as well. It was very, very insightful for me too as well. So guys, I think we are done for today. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, Daniela.
Shukran.
Thank you very much,
Remember that.
Daniela. Shukran.
Thank you, Daniela.